Shwmai Bawb, yes, we are back on the NFL Cymru podcast. This is our rather late post-schedule day preview for ourselves. It's coming up to almost a week, Guto, since the schedule released well, to be fair, we did record, 3 or 4 hours before the official schedule was released. So we had kind of like a few inklings of what was going to happen, but we now actually have it set in stone. We're going to be coming to that very, very shortly. Just to get a few things out of the way. Firstly, I should have done this last episode, and I promised myself that I would. I forgot, rather annoyingly, to give Guto his flowers, because I'm not sure if you guys have noticed, those of you who are watching on YouTube, that we have a new intro and outro. So getting really official here, just adding, even though it's 5 seconds at the beginning, at the end, I think personally the graphics are brilliant. It makes it a lot more, official, like we said. So Guto, diolch yn fawr iawn. Thank you very much for your hard work on that.
No problem. A good an hour's work there, just to get us a little bit more official out there. So yeah, no, I'm quite proud of it. I was dying to show everyone, and I was quite proud of it, to be honest with you. So yeah, but no, I'm glad you like it, David.
No, it's all good. Anything like that we can add to our podcast, just to kind of, like you said, just to make it more official and to kind of makes it look more professional. That's what the first thing that came to my mind as well. So yeah, and it's quite unique as well. So, and I love, we've got the new logo now. We've got so it's slowly building. I'm looking out of my window now, Guto. Summer is proper upon us.
Yeah.
It gets me a little bit excited. We're kind of, we're going into rookie camp at the moment. OTA is around the corner. Okay, we're going to have a horrible stint in June where nothing happens in the NFL before we come back for training camp in July. But the schedule release has kept us busy over the last, week and a half, because obviously, like we said before in the last pod, a lot of it had been leaked beforehand, especially some of the international games. But the first thing that we need to get to Guto on the agenda, the 49ers have been busy. They've re-signed some of their major stars. They've let go, actually, a lot of their a few on the offensive line and their defense. However, Brock Purdy, Fred Warner, and another one that we missed a couple of weeks ago was tight end George Kittle. So 3 cornerstones of the 49ers have signed extensions.
Yep, the 3 main guys in San Francisco at this moment in time. Quarterback Brock Purdy, he was Mr. Irrelevant for so long. Now he's no longer irrelevant. I think he's top 10 highest paid quarterback.
He's Mr. Ka-ching now, isn't he?
Exactly. Yeah. $265 million 5-year contract for Brock Purdy. Some might say it's deserving due to his talent. I think he's a talented quarterback, but maybe some might say it's a little bit too high of a price tag. But who knows? Tua Tagovailoa is earning a little bit more money than him, so the
Good
price
point.
tag doesn't matter. So who knows? But and obviously their defensive back Fred Warner, a 3-year contract, $63 million as well. He's a beast in his position. So that's
what a baller.
So I think the 49ers will be happy with that business indeed. So, and obviously, like you mentioned, tight end George Kittle as well. So that's 3 main players for the 49ers that they're keeping for a good few years. George Kittle signed a 4-year deal. So yeah, if you're a 49ers fan, you'd be happy with the players that you're keeping. Price tag may be questionable, but maybe it won't matter in a few years' time.
Yeah, like you said, Fred Warner, potential Hall of Famer. Depends how he finishes his career, but he's definitely on that line at the moment. He's the quarterback of the defense, like you were saying. I don't know how I think about Brock Purdy. Call me a hater, but is he a glorified Jimmy Garoppolo? I'm not sure if he's the type of quarterback. Do you know what? And I put Tua Tagovailoa in exactly the same bucket list. Is he a type of quarterback that can take you so far but can't get you over the edge?
Yeah.
Can't really kind of like I don't know. Only time will tell. Obviously, it's an incredible story, like you said, being the last pick in the NFL draft, Mr. Irrelevant, and then all of a sudden, because of a really really bad injury to Trey Lance, and he's turned out to be a bust. He was their first round pick 2 years prior that they traded up actually with the Dolphins to get in the 2020 NFL draft, I think, or 2021. He's now with the Cowboys as a backup. It's just funny how things go. Obviously with the NFL, obviously we've got Tom Brady that was selected in the 6th round. Aaron Rodgers, I believe, was either the 3rd or the 4th. Kirk Cousins was in the 4th as well. But mostly, starting quarterbacks are first-round picks, aren't they? The majority of them are first-round picks. So, what an incredible story for that. And then obviously, I was a little bit surprised, Guto, that Kittle signed, especially a 4-year deal, because I heard that there were whispers that he was potentially looking for a way out of San Francisco as well, because obviously they let Debo go. Another thing I've heard is Brandon Ayuk is potentially on the trading block, even after signing an extension last summer. After he was really unhappy, and I think he sat out a couple of the beginning of the OTAs and training camp last year. So, but they like you said, they've got their cornerstones now. They've obviously got McCaffrey as well, running back. Hopefully he'll come back, fit and well for next season, because I think he's a phenomenal talent. So, like you said, they've got 6 or 7 cornerstones, and they're going to be, they're under contract for the next at least 2 or 3 years. So they can build. I don't know how competitive they're going to be this year. I see them, obviously I think they're still a playoff team. Are they going to challenge the top echelons of the NFC, like the Lions, the Vikings, potentially the Eagles? I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, they have stepped back a little bit, considering last season they finished bottom of their division. But according to the schedule this season, they've got the easiest schedule by everyone. So we'll see. They're opening up week 1 away. They'll be against the Seattle Seahawks, so that's going to be a fun matchup to watch on week 1.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Seattle Seahawks is a new quarterback there as well, so we'll see what happens over there. So, I've seen a lot more positives from 49ers fans in terms of the players, but obviously the price tags are a little bit questionable as well. So, it'll be interesting to see what happens. If I'm a betting person, I'd put them close to the playoffs this season, but I don't know how far can Brock Purdy take them. Who knows?
It's hard to tell, because I personally, I don't, unless there are catastrophic injuries, I don't see anyone apart from the Rams winning that division personally. I think they're a proper dark horse for next season. Seattle, like you said, we genuinely don't know. They're a completely different offense. Brand new quarterback, Cooper Kupp. They've, a brand new wide receiver room, apart from Jackson Smith and Jigba, obviously. If things can slot in really nicely, Sam Darnold, you never know. If he has a running game, and if he has a decent O-line in front of him, he can definitely take a team to the playoffs. You've got Kupp and, like I said, Jackson Smith and Jigba. That's a decent wide receiver room as well. But like I said, I still fancy the Rams as potential division winners in the NFC West, I think, anyway.
Yeah, me too.
Guto, shall we just quickly have, your reaction, first of all, to the Falcons schedule, and then I'll do my quick reactions to the Dolphins. Obviously, we won't go through all 17 games. Just in terms of what stood out for you, are there any really tough patches? Maybe kind of like, is there a kind of like a run of games where you see you can pick up some wins? But I guess the main thing to start off with the Falcons, Guto, I'm sure you're really, really glad. And this is kind of the NFL potentially putting a lot of faith in the Falcons, or at least they see them as potential. The fact that the Falcons have, 5 primetime games for the first time in a while, actually.
Yeah, we ended up 2 years ago with 0. Last year, I believe, was 2 or 3 prime time games. So we're up to 5 now. So
Yeah.
we must be doing something right. We're storytellers as well. The Falcons. There's always drama when it comes to the Falcons. That's a positive or a negative. You see what happens in the draft with us, not with the Falcons, but with the staff, and obviously with the prank call and everything. So, but yeah, we've got 5 primetime games this season. We're starting off with a tough game at home against the Buccaneers, and I think I mentioned in the previous episode, not the previous episode, in the draft recap episode, I was a real big fan of the draft that the Buccaneers had with their new wide receiver room. So I'm not looking forward to that one, to be honest. That's a very tough game to open up with. Straight after that, then we got the Minnesota Vikings. We got some tough games after each other. We got the Washington, Buffalo Bills, and then San Francisco. That's 3 games in a row.
That is brutal.
Yeah, and we've got a bye week in week 5, I believe, as well, which I think is really early for a bye week. So we've got a rough stretch then.
That's
the Dolphins in week 8, I believe. We got a trip to Berlin. Towards the end of the season, we've got the Seahawks, the Jets, Cardinals, the Saints twice. So who knows what's going to happen with us? We've got a great offense. Defense is always going to be a question with us, but I'm being biased. I have to say I'm confident that we're going to make the playoffs. I'm crossing my fingers and everything else that we will make the playoffs, but yeah, a lot tougher fixtures this time. I don't know where we can win, maybe 3 or 4 in a row in this one, to be honest with you, but we'll scatter it everywhere. If we get 10 wins, happy days. We haven't had a 10-win season in a long time, so yeah, crossing my fingers that this will be a great season for the Falcons and no dramas.
Yeah. In terms of the Dolphins then, a lot of people are saying that we've got a favourable schedule to start off the season. We're at Indianapolis to start off with. Then we play 3 divisional games straight after each other. So within the first 4 weeks, we play Patriots at home, at Bills, Thursday night football straight after. So that's on a short week. And then we've got Monday night football, so we've got an extra break then. Home against the Jets. So after that, if we can, realistically, do you know what? I have absolutely no idea what to expect from either the Patriots or the Jets this year. Buffalo are going to be Buffalo. The only thing that I'll say is, at least we're not going to Buffalo in December, so at least we're not playing in the cold and in the snow. I'll definitely take that Guto, even if it's on a short week. Week 2, another thing, the Patriots have to come down to South Florida, 1 o'clock kickoff, 6 p.m. here in the UK, obviously, and the Dolphins and Miami in September with the dry heat. That, to me, is one of the best advantages in all of sports, is Miami in September and October in 1 p.m. Especially when the stadium is designed where you have shade on the Dolphins side of the field, and then the away side are in the sun. They're just baking in the sun. And honestly, everyone that comes down to Miami in September are either puking by the second quarter, or they've got the fans out and they're burning up. So that's worth noticing as well. Just quickly then, we've got a really, really tough stretch in the middle of our schedule. We've got, after the Falcons, which you said, which is in week 8, definitely going to circle that, obviously. Then we've got home against the Ravens, home against the Bills, and then we go to Madrid and we play the Commanders. So we could literally go 0-3 in that stretch, which is not easy at all. I'd hope to think that we've got 2 home games. And in Madrid, obviously, it's supposed to be a home game, but you never know what's going to happen in Spain. And then, it's hard then, because you're thinking about the weather then. Towards the end of the season, we have to go to New York to play the Jets. We've got Monday night at the Steelers, and that's going to be a cold game. Home against the Bengals, home against the Bucks, and then another cold game at the Patriots to finish. the Dolphins are notably very, very poor in cold weather conditions. So we're going to have to rack up a lot of wins at the beginning of the season, first half of the season, if we're going to make the playoffs. That's what I've been hearing, Guto, is a lot of people are potentially putting the window of the Dolphins maybe winning 9 games. If we're lucky, 10 could potentially put us in as a wild card. But yeah, it's like I said, we've got it's like you said. I think I said before in the last episode, it's hard to know, because that's what's great about this league is you can go from being the worst to being one of the best in your divisions within a really short space of time. So a really favourable schedule halfway through could actually be a really, really tough one, and vice versa. So we're just gonna have to wait and see, really. So yeah, those were my kind of big takeaways in terms of the Dolphins schedule. Looking at the broader spectacle, Guto, any week 1 matchup that's taking your fancy?
I've got a couple of games that I'm actually really looking forward to in week 1. I'm going to start off with maybe a bit of a sleeper in this one.
Okay.
The Raiders against the Patriots at 6 o'clock on week 1. I think that's an interesting one. Obviously, two teams who they've had a decent off season with bringing players in. They drafted really well as well. So I think both teams on a rebuild. I think that's a very good way to start off. So you wouldn't want to lose the first week if you're rebuilding, obviously. And two teams against each other rebuilding. I think that's a really good fixture, that one. Another one, depending on a certain Aaron Rodgers. The Steelers are opening up against the Jets. I think that's it. Depending where the Steelers depending where Aaron Rodgers goes, if he goes to the Steelers, I think that will be an interesting week 1. That will be on Sky. That will be Sky Sports all over that one if Rodgers decides to go to the Steelers.
Excellent point. I was going to say, I think the NFL schedulers know what they're talking about, know what's going to happen. Like you said, if the Steelers are playing the Jets, and also they're playing a Sunday night game at Green Bay.
Yeah.
So it's almost written in the stars. They know exactly what's going to happen with Aaron Rodgers. It's not ironic that he's going to 2 of his former teams in one season, and especially in week 1. That is really spicy. Really spicy. Like that one. Anything else that comes to mind, Guto?
Ravens and Bills Sunday night.
Yeah, 100%.
That'll be the first Sunday night game. That's going to be a heavy game. That one. If you're an NFL fan, this is the game you want to watch. This will be the game you recommend to people. 2 hard-hitting teams, playoff chasing, Super Bowl chasing teams, going for it, and they're opening up in week 1. That's it's an incredible way to start off.
2 MVP finalists, going head to head together. Like you said, Ravens they've had a tough beginning. Obviously, they were in Arrowhead to the Chiefs last year, and now they have to go to. It's at Buffalo, isn't it? I think they have to go to Buffalo.
At Buffalo.
Yeah, it's at Buffalo.
Yes.
They didn't quite get the dub in Kansas City. Let's see if they can go up to Buffalo and spoil their party as well. That's definitely one that I had. The other 2 that I've got down, Guto, are the game in Sao Paulo between the Chiefs and the Chargers.
Yeah. That'll be streamed on YouTube as well, so we can watch that for free.
Excellent, and a lot of people are really bigging up the Chargers this year, and I'm cautious when people big up the Chargers, because the classic line is Chargers are always going to Charger, aren't they? They always find a way to just kind of like find a way of losing or find a way of just capitulating. But there we are. So, but yeah, that's going to be really, really interesting. First game in Sao Paulo, obviously second time in a row. Week 1 is visiting Brazil.
Yeah.
And the other one was a tasty NFC North battle between the Packers and the Lions. Packers at Detroit. I quite like that one as well.
Yeah.
That could be, to me, that screams out high-scoring game. Battle of the offenses. and battle the new coordinators as well. Obviously, Detroit have lost. They lost Aaron Glenn and they lost Ben Johnson, didn't they?
Of course.
So
Yes.
yeah, I trust Detroit and I trust Dan Campbell to figure a way out. Obviously, they've promoted from within, haven't they, in terms of the offensive coordinator?
I believe so.
So, but gosh, the Lions, if they're all, like I said, if they're all healthy, my goodness me, they've got so much firepower on that offense. With the running back duo, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Oh my God, I always forget the name of their brilliant tight end. What's his name?
Let's get him.
Sam Laporta. He's brilliant as well. And with the Packers, they went heavy. Well, they drafted a wide receiver in the first round, which they badly needed. Again, they were a very heavy run team last year as well. I think they might be more balanced this year, but you never know. So that's going to be a tough matchup for them going to Detroit week 1 as well. So yeah, a lot of spicy matchups for week 1. To be fair.
Yeah, another one. It'd be interesting to see what the Houston Texans do this season as well. They've been on the rise for a little bit. They're opening up away against the LA Rams, who.
Oh, cool.
I think the LA Rams. I think they'll be a good team this season. They're playing in London. I'm hoping to go to that game in Wembley. I'm crossing my fingers for that one. So that'll be a tough opening for the Texans, I think. But they're a talented team, so it'd be interesting how they go. Cam Ward for the Titans. They're away against the Denver Broncos.
At Broncos,
yeah.
Not ideal.
No.
Again, the Broncos to me are potentially another sleeper in the AFC this year.
Yeah.
They massively overachieved last year. You never know if they'll have a slump. If Bo Nix will have a sophomore slump, as they say, in his second year. Really exciting team. I liked a lot of things that they did in free agency. They've got a really, really good defense. Ultimately, they've got a brilliant coach as well. Whether you love him or whether you hate him, Sean Payton knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Guto kindly sent me the dates of when the international tickets are going to be on sale, by the way. So I've got that down in my calendar. July the 7th, the Dolphins Madrid tickets will be out on sale. And like I said, I will do my uphold best to try and get a ticket because, first of all, it's a brilliant matchup. The Commanders, with Jaden Daniels, hopefully, he'll still be there and he won't be injured. Debo, Terry McLaurin, again, they did a lot of splashes in free agency. I think they fancy their chances potentially, with the Eagles in the NFC East. You never know. Talking to the Eagles, Guto, before we finish, they've given their coach Nick Sirianni a massive extension, and I think everyone saw this coming following a Super Bowl win, didn't we?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I sent this to our friend Johan as well, and his comment was that he was hoping he'd be gone by week 4, but last season. But but now, obviously, he's got a multi-year new contract, so deservedly so as well. He's a great coach. He's lost some of his staff, so I think they've promoted with him as well. Obviously, the offensive coordinator, the name's gone off my head, but he's gone to the Saints now, hasn't he?
Kellen Moore.
That's the one. He's gone to the Saints.
He has.
So, but yeah, deservedly so for Nick Sirianni. I'm not sure on the proper details, but it's a multi-year extension, so... Yeah.
I don't think the details have actually come out yet, but like you said, multi-year deal. They've kept their defensive coordinator, Vic Fangio, the absolute genius Vic Fangio, obviously. And yeah, like you said, they're promoted within in terms of their offensive coordinator. It's interesting to see what happens with the Eagles, because the last time they went to the Super Bowl and they lost to the Chiefs, they had a massive collapse the next season, didn't they? They started off the season something ridiculous like 7-1, and then they completely fell apart towards the end. And a lot of people, like Johan, thought that Sirianni was actually going to be fired because there was some discord. I mean, I think he fired his DC halfway through the season as well, and then there was a lot of talk of the only thing that I'm not a massive fan in terms of Nick Sirianni is his character. That's his own. He's obviously he's a little bit arrogant. But then again, he can back it up because, like you said, he's a brilliant coach and he's just won a Super Bowl, coming off a Super Bowl win as well.
Yeah.
So whether or not Johan's just going to have to suck it up and he's going to be stuck with Mr. Sirianni for the next 3 or 4 years potentially, departing another massive collapse. But there we are. I don't really see that happening because the Eagles' foundations are there and they've drafted really well once again this year, and their depth is absolutely ridiculous as well.
Yeah. It is.
Yeah, and they seem to have, obviously their D line is going to be drastically different without, the likes of Josh Sweat, Milton Williams, but they still got Jalen Carter and other players as well that are more than ready to step up to the norm. So I think the Eagles are going to be fine. Talking of the Eagles again, brilliant segment. Here we go. I think it was the Packers that came up with the solution of trying to get rid of the world famous tush push. It went to a vote, and we just heard in a couple of hours, Guto, that it was voted by the owners of the NFL overwhelmingly 22-10. The tush push is here to stay.
Yeah. They needed 24 to accept the vote.
Yes.
So only 22 teams decided to, go to vote for it. So I believe the Falcons voted for it to be banned, which, come on, Falcons, really? Come on, typical. But, yeah. To me, I'm not bothered. If you want to be better, just be better at it. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. And the other thing I think that's been pointed out as well is I don't think it's a move or a play that's an injury risk to any player.
No, exactly.
Because obviously they banned linebackers and safeties jumping over the pile, haven't they? Because you've seen that tactic trying to be done, trying to stop the runner, the quarterback or the running back that's got the ball. So that's been banned. So you've got one less problem there in terms of injuries, and like you said, it's technique, it's power, and it's timing more than anything. And whoever came up, with the design, is an absolute genius, because obviously the Eagles have completely got it down. The Patriots did it with Tom Brady in the early 2000s during their dynasty. It couldn't be stopped then, and Josh Allen has used it. So if you've got an athletic quarterback, I'm not saying that Tom Brady is an athletic quarterback because he was the epitome of a non-athletic quarterback. But if you've got the Eagles O-line and you've got Jalen Hurts, which is an extremely athletic quarterback, why wouldn't you use it? And I heard as well that Jason Kelce went to the meeting as a part on behalf of the Philadelphia Eagles to put their views across. So clearly, whatever he said has worked. But like we said, it clearly wasn't under that much threat. And there are more kind of rule changes that teams can come up with. Another one I think that we mentioned a couple of weeks ago now was do you remember talking about? I think the Lions came up with the idea of changing the seedings.
Yes.
So that's been withdrawn. So they decided against putting that out to the NFL owners as well. So that won't be happening. So I think that's what the Detroit were trying to make was, if you were divisional winners, that meant that you had an automatic home playoff game, where another team finishing second but with a better record, if that makes sense, that they would go higher. But it's sticking to divisional winners, get home field advantage, seed 1 to 4, and it's going to say exactly the same with a wild card as well, which I think works in the end anyway. So I think they did the right thing in terms of withdrawing that. Anything else, Guto, before we wrap things up? Nice half an hour quick pod, because I've noticed that the pods have been going 45 minutes to an hour recently. I know we've got, obviously we've been covering the draft and we've been covering free agency and things like that. So,
no, we're having fun. We're having fun. We're having a great time. Question for you, David. Who is going to be QB1 for the Browns in Week 1 against the Bengals?
Well, if you're coming from the marketing people or the social media managers for the Cleveland Browns, it's going to be Shedeur Sanders, because literally that's all I've been seeing on my X feed is a perfect spiral from Shedeur Sanders. Oh, his accuracy is so well. He throws a brilliant deep ball. That's all I've been hearing. However, if you put the question to me now, barring injury, I think it's going to be Joe Flacco. I think they'd be silly to throw Shedeur Sanders into that kind of situation. I think ideally, if you're a rookie, especially at a quarterback, this is my personal preference, but I think that you should sit for your first season, at least for a season, if not, at least for half a season, if not your first season. Mahomes did it, and you learn under the current quarterback, the senior quarterback, because Cam Ward is going to be thrusted into starting for the Titans, isn't he?
Exactly.
And that can either make or break a quarterback. We've seen it. Happen, and we've seen it gone really positive for thinkings. Justin Herbert comes to mind. He was forced to go into to be a starter for the Chargers after Tyrod Taylor went down with a collapsed lung. Actually, that was quite dramatic in week 2, and he played exceptionally well and hasn't looked back since. But then again, you've got other quarterbacks that look what happened to Bryce Young with the Panthers. He was benched halfway through his rookie season. Had a little bit more time to learn under Andy Dalton, and look how he came back towards the latter end of last season. So it's give and take, isn't it? What do you think, Guto?
Yeah, I agree with the marketing strategy there. Going for Shedeur Sanders. The other option obviously got Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett. So, but it's a tough game to start off. It's at home, so that's an advantage for them. But the Bengals, they're looking to make the playoffs, aren't they? They're going to be wanting to start off quick, start off fast. They've got the players, they've got the new contracts, they're raring to go. So putting Shedeur Sanders in there, I think it's a bit of a risky move. I think you need a bit of experience in that matchup, definitely.
The only thing I'll say about the Bengals, Guto, is have they got the offense? Have they got their defense sorted out?
Well, exactly. Yeah, that's a good point as well. Another quarterback question is for the Saints. I don't think they know who their quarterback one is yet. They're opening up at home against the Arizona Cardinals. Tyler Sow, Spencer Rattler, and Jake Hayner, Hunter Deckers as well. Who's going to be their quarterback? Who's going to be the QB?
It has to be Spencer Rattler, surely.
He's got the money. Yeah, out of them four, he has a bit of experience playing in the NFL, so they'll probably have to go for it. They're going to struggle this season, the Saints, I think. Especially with the QB.
Absolutely, they almost nailed on to have the number 1 pick in next year's draft today.
We keep getting comments from Kernan Annual, by the way, on our YouTube that we're slating the New Orleans Saints. So, Kernan, if you're watching, we apologise. We're just speaking the truth.
Has he been what has he been complaining about our slander towards the New Orleans Saints? Has he?
I believe, he's been commenting here and there. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Well, you know what? Kernan, the invitation is out there for you to come and put your point to see how the Saints are going to do this season and how you can somehow revive this incredible situation that your franchise has got yourself into. Whether, if you want to call it incompetence or not, or maybe it's a strategy that you think that maybe it's something like the Dolphins did a couple of years ago. They tanked, and we called it tank for Tua. So maybe they're, potentially they're targeting their quarterback in next year's draft. Arch Manning is going to be one of them. Peyton Manning's son in Texas, depending how he's going to do. Apparently, another quarterback that I've been told is really, really good as well is the Ohio State quarterback, and his name escapes me at the moment. but there's going to be that's a long way away. But gosh, Saints. I mean, honestly, I don't really know what to say about them. If I'm honest with you, it's either going to go exactly like everyone is going to say and how the script goes, where they are probably going to be a 3 or 4 win. It's going to be a 3 or 4 win season, or it's going to be completely opposite. And Spencer Rattler, say if he has the number 1 spot of the quarterback there, he's a bit of a gunslinger, isn't he? So he can potentially throw it about. They've got nothing to lose, no expectation whatsoever, and they could potentially win some unexpected games. They could potentially win 5, 6, or 7. So you never know.
Exactly. Yep. We have an interesting week 1 ahead. I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be. Yeah. There's a lot of storylines this season as well. I think you get storylines every season, but I'm really looking forward to our storylines we got ahead this season. I'm counting down to week 1. Like I said, we got that little bit of stint in June, July. Not a lot happening, but then obviously we got the training camp starting soon.
Training camp in July. There's a 3-week break between the end of OTAs and training camp in July. The end of June and July, and then from then onwards we're all steam ahead. Training camp straight into pre-season, and then obviously September the 7th, it is go time.
It's go time. Here we go.
Yeah, can't wait. Absolutely can't wait. Brilliant. I think we've covered everything. Guto, in terms of where we go now, with the podcast and what we're going to be covering, I think we've promised and we've kind of like teased out there that we're going to be doing our divisional rankings.
Yeah.
I think we should start that series before training camp starts, end of June, beginning of July. We'll probably go through every single division week by week and rank them from 1 to 4. Obviously, we probably won't tell each other, and then we'll kind of have that debate live on air with you, live on the podcast. And then, obviously, you're more than welcome to chime in to see if you agree, disagree with our rankings, 1 to 4. And then potentially another thing we can do as well is we can come up with a record for that team to see how many wins and losses they have as well, and potentially rank them like that. So that's something that we have in the back of our minds in order to pass the time, basically, until the end of OTAs and the beginning of training camp. Like I said, in the beginning of July, we'll have plenty of people on. Like we said, Canan has to come and have his say about the Saints because we're all ears. And obviously we're going to have Johan back as well because another update, by the way, the South Wales Warriors, they are now currently 4-0, undefeated so far, and they've got another home game this Sunday, which I'm hoping to go to down in Llanharan RFC. 2 o'clock, I believe so. I was supposed to go on Sunday. Unfortunately, my son wasn't well, so I couldn't go. But I'm definitely going to go on this Sunday because, there's something going on. I know the Warriors had a really successful season last year, but my gosh, they're going for the Dolphins' 1972 record, the undefeated Dolphins, man. And it's lovely to hear that Johan is, after a long break, that he's getting some snaps. He's doing a good job. He's happy with his form, so I'm told. He's up in London at the moment, actually. He went to see Hamilton last night, and we've been texting back and forth and things like that. So, Johan, if you're watching, not live, obviously, I will see you there on Sunday, and best of luck to the South Wales Warriors.
Yeah, good job to them. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying watching him. Like, I'm looking at the stories on Instagram and stuff, and they keep up with the score, so it's really good. It's good to see them succeed as well. So all praise to them, definitely.
Absolutely. Well, that's it. Like I said, a slightly shorter version today. That was our post-schedule release episode of the NFL Company podcast. Like you said, tune in very, very soon. We will have our divisional rankings. Either we'll kind of do week by week, or we might, if we have time, we might put 2 out per week because we've got plenty of divisions to go through, obviously. So there's going to be plenty more content. And like I said, we will have some more members, former contributors on the pod as well until we reach, like I said, training camp in July. But for now, thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for watching. Catch us on YouTube, Spotify, give us a like, and obviously, especially with this brand new intro and outro that Guto has put together, hopefully I'm going to see the likes and the views shoot up as well. No pressure. But anyway, for now, Guto, thank you very much for your time. Diolch yn fawr iawn i ti.
Thank you.
We'll see you guys very, very shortly.